Let me ask you something. Imagine you put $10,000 in a safe, a real, physical safe, bolted to the floor. Nobody can touch it. Nobody can steal it. 10 years later, you open that safe, and there's still $10,000 sitting right there. Did you lose money? Most people would say no. The money is all there, same amount, nothing missing. But here's the thing, and this is the part that nobody tells you. You absolutely 100% lost money. Not because someone stole it, not because of a bad investment, not because of anything you did wrong. You lost money simply by doing nothing, simply by playing it safe. And right now, millions of Americans are doing the exact same thing, not with a physical safe, but with something they trust even more: their savings account. Stay with me here, because by the end of this video, the way you think about keeping money safe is going to completely change. Here's the situation most people are in. You work hard, you get paid, and after paying your bills and expenses, you take whatever is left over and you move it into your savings account. Maybe it's $200 a month, maybe it's $500, maybe more. And that feels good, right? That feels responsible. That feels safe. Your bank even rewards you for it. They show you a little interest rate, maybe 0.5%, maybe if you're lucky, 1%. And every month you see a tiny deposit, a few cents here, maybe $1 or $2 there, and it feels like your money is growing. But here's the question almost nobody stops to ask. Growing compared to what? Because growth doesn't happen in a vacuum. Money doesn't just need to grow. It needs to grow faster than one specific thing. And most people have never even heard of it discussed this way. That thing is called inflation. And it is the silent thief living inside every savings account in America. Let's break this down simply, because this concept is genuinely one of the most important things you will ever understand about money. Inflation, at its most basic level, just means that over time, things get more expensive. A movie ticket that cost $5 in 1990 costs $15 today. A gallon of milk that cost $2 in 2000 costs closer to $4 now. A house that sold for $150,000 in 2000 is now worth $400,000 in most parts of the country. Prices go up. That's inflation. Now here's where it connects to your savings account. The U.S. Federal Reserve, the institution that basically manages the health of the American economy, actually targets an inflation rate of around 2% per year. That's their goal. They want prices to rise about 2% every year. But recently, as many of you lived through, inflation ran significantly higher than that. In 2022, inflation in the U.S. hit over 8% annually, meaning prices were rising 8% in a single year. So let's do some simple math together. Say you have $10,000 in a traditional savings account at a big bank. The national average interest rate on savings accounts at big banks has historically hovered around 0.4% to 0.6%. Let's be generous and call it 0.5%. After 1 year, your $10,000 earned $50 in interest. You now have $10,050. Feels fine, right? But during that same year, if inflation was running at just 4%, which is below what we saw in 2022, the purchasing power of your money dropped by $400. You gained $50. You lost $400 in real value. Your account balance says $10,050. But in terms of what that money can actually buy you in the real world, groceries, rent, gas, clothes, it is worth less than what you started with. You didn't grow your money. You shrank it. Just slower than you noticed. Think of it like an escalator going down. Your savings account puts you on that escalator and gives you a tiny little pair of shoes that let you walk up 1 step. For every 10 steps the escalator takes you down, you're moving. You feel like you're doing something, but you're still going down. That's what a savings account does to your money in a high inflation environment. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Because this isn't just a math problem. This is a psychology problem. There's a concept in behavioral economics called nominal versus real value, and it explains exactly why so many intelligent, hard-working people fall into this trap. Nominal value is the number you see, the $10,050 on your screen. Real value is what that number actually buys you in the world. Our brains are wired to focus on the nominal number, because that number is visible, it's concrete, it goes up every month, even if only by a little. And our brains love seeing numbers go up. Real value, purchasing power, is invisible. You can't see it on your bank app. You can't track it easily. And our brains are notoriously bad at processing things they can't see. This is why people feel safe in savings accounts even when they're quietly losing ground every year. The number on the screen is going up. The real cost of that comfort is happening somewhere off-screen, at the grocery store, at the gas pump, at the landlord's office every time rent increases. There's actually a name for this psychological bias. It's called money illusion. The idea that we confuse the face value of money with its actual real-world value. And banks, whether they intend to or not, benefit enormously from this illusion. Think about how your bank communicates with you. They celebrate your savings balance going up. They show you interest earned. They give you a little progress bar. Everything is designed to make you feel like growth is happening. What they don't show you is a purchasing power remaining tracker, because that number would go down, and people don't enjoy watching numbers go down. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine you had a friend who offered to hold $10,000 for you for a year. At the end of the year, they hand you back $10,050. But while they were holding it, they slowly ate $400 worth of what that money could buy you. You'd be pretty upset with that friend. But that is the deal most savings accounts are offering you right now. And millions of people are saying yes to it every single day because the $50 is visible and the $400 isn't. Here's the bigger idea I want you to walk away with. Safety is not the same as protection. Read that again. Safety is not the same as protection. A savings account feels safe, and in some ways, it genuinely is. Your money is FDIC insured up to $250,000. It won't go to zero. You can access it anytime. There's real value in that for short-term needs and emergencies. But safe does not mean your money is being protected, because protection means protecting your purchasing power. Protection means your money is at least keeping up with the rising cost of the world around it. And on that definition, the one that actually matters for building wealth, a traditional savings account is not protecting you at all. The wealthiest people in America don't think about money in terms of keeping it safe. They think about it in terms of keeping it working. They understand that idle money is losing money, not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, consistently, every single year. And this is the core wealth-building mindset shift that separates people who build financial security over time from people who work hard their whole lives and still feel like they're barely keeping up. It's not about income alone. It's about understanding that in a world where everything gets more expensive every year, money that isn't growing is shrinking. There is no neutral position. Your money is either moving forward or falling behind. So, what do you actually do with this information? First, and this is important, don't empty your savings account tomorrow. That's not the lesson here. A savings account still has a real and important job. It's where you keep your emergency fund, the 3 to 6 months of expenses that you need to be able to access quickly if your car breaks down, you lose your job, or something unexpected happens. That money needs to be liquid and accessible, and for that purpose, a savings account makes total sense. But here's the line most people never draw. Everything beyond your emergency fund, the money you're saving for 5 years from now, 10 years from now, retirement. That money should not be sitting in a traditional savings account collecting 0.5% while inflation runs at 3%, 4%, or higher. That money needs to be somewhere it can actually grow faster than inflation over time. Now, there are options that can help. High-yield savings accounts, offered by many online banks, have offered interest rates significantly higher than traditional big banks, sometimes 4% or even 5% during periods of higher interest rates. That's a much better place to park your emergency fund than a big bank paying you pennies. Beyond that, there's the world of investing. Index funds, the S&P 500, Treasury I-bonds, tools that over long periods of time have historically returned rates that outpace inflation meaningfully. The S&P 500, for example, has returned an average of roughly 10% annually over the past several decades, which is dramatically better than any savings account. This video isn't a deep dive into investing strategies, but the single most important step right now is just understanding the problem clearly. Because you can't solve something you don't see. And for most people, the savings account illusion has been invisible their entire adult life. Here's how I want to leave you with this. That $10,000 in the safe we talked about at the beginning, the money that looked perfectly untouched after 10 years. If inflation averaged even 3% per year during those 10 years, that $10,000 would have the purchasing power of roughly $7,400 in today's terms. You didn't just fail to grow your money, you effectively lost $2,600 just by doing nothing, just by playing it safe. The financial system isn't designed to explain this to you clearly. Banks make money when your money sits still, and your brain, wired to love visible numbers going up and ignore invisible losses, makes it very easy to feel fine about the whole arrangement. But now you see it, and once you see the escalator going down, you can't unsee it. The question now isn't whether your savings account is losing you money. You know it is. The real question is how much longer you're going to let it. Think about that. If this video changed how you think about savings accounts, share it with someone who needs to hear this. And if you want to understand exactly where to put your money instead, we're covering that in the next video.